Good morning, students. Today's class is about the TCA cycle. You might be thinking that again TCA cycle. Why? You have read it thousands of times in the school days. We know everything about it. But dear students, let me tell you, in your school days, you have learned only the steps of the TCA cycle. Now in the MBBS class, you need to know the details about this pathway and how this pathway is related to the human metabolism and well-being. So, may I start? Yes. So, next slide. Firstly, answer this question. Name one metabolic or biochemical pathway that is present in plants, animals, fungi and bacteria. As the class is about TCA cycle, you can say that answer is TCA cycle obviously. Yes, it is TCA cycle. And one of the very important pathway in eukaryote and prokaryote is TCA cycle. And in the human being, it is the center of the fuel metabolism. So it's a very important pathway. Next slide. Now, before starting the main topic of the day, let's learn how to study a metabolic pathway. There's a general rule how you can study the metabolic pathway. The general rule is you have to study under certain headings. These are, first of all, the introduction. Now, under this section, you will learn the history of the cycle of the metabolic pathway, who discovered it, who named it, what is the definition of the pathway, etc. And in the next point, it is the site. What is the organ and what is the organelle where it is operated. Next, the process or the steps. Number 4, that is the redox balance. Now, what is redox balance? It is how much ATP is consumed and how much is produced. This is called the redox balance sheet. Now, next point is the functions of the pathway. Next point, interrelationship with the other metabolic pathways. Next, the regulation of the pathway. Next, the activator and inhibitors of the pathway. Next, the roles of the vitamins. And next, the disorders related to this pathway. Remember, each of the headings are one question that we ask in the exam about this pathway. Clear? Now, next slide. Now begin with the history. The complete cycle was proposed by Sir Hans Krebs, who got Nobel Prize in 1953, and the cycle was named after him. It is also called Krebs cycle, you all know. He proposed the name tricarboxylic acid cycle or TCA cycle. Why? Because he saw that one tricarboxylic acid is involved in this pathway. But he wasn't sure that what is the nature of this tricarboxylic acid and whether this tricarboxylic acid is a member of this pathway or not. Later, in the 1948, Ogston showed that the citric acid is that tricarboxylic acid and it is a member of this cycle. So, this is the history. Now, next slide. From the glycolysis class, you all know this, the outline of the fuel metabolism in human body. I am going to give you a quick and short review. All the food we eat comprising of carbohydrate, protein and fat are digested and absorbed. Carbohydrate gives simple sugars, mostly glucose. Protein gives amino acids. Fat gives fatty acid and glycerol. All these molecules are catabolized to form acetyl-CoA through different pathway. Now this acetyl-CoA enters the TCA cycle and produces carbon dioxide, water and reducing equivalent, that is the NADH, FADH2, etc. Now this reducing equivalents goes to the ETC and forms ATP. So this is the overview of the outline of the fuel metabolism in human body. Clear? Now next slide. Now another very interesting point in this relation is the 3 stages of cellular respiration. Every cell takes respiration. Now what is the form of this respiration? That is the 3 stages of cellular respiration. The first stage of the cellular respiration is acetyl-CoA formation. From the glucose, through glycolysis, pyruvate is formed and PDH complex acts and the final product is acetyl-CoA. Now from the fats or the fatty acids, beta oxidation occurs and we get acetyl-CoA, and from the amino acid catabolism we can get acetyl-CoA. So this is the sources of acetyl-CoA from the three types of the fuel. So this is the first stage of the cellular respiration, that is the formation of the acetyl-CoA, and the second stage is the oxidation of the acetyl-CoA. How? Through TCA cycle. So the TCA cycle is the second stage of the cellular respiration. And now the third and the final stage, that is the electron transport chain. The reducing equivalent that is obtained from the TCA cycle goes to the electron transport chain to produce ATP. So the stage 3 is electron transfer and oxidative phosphorylation. So these are the three stages of cellular respiration. First stage, acetyl-CoA production, second stage, acetyl-CoA oxidation, and third stage, electron transport chain. I hope the basic is clear to you all. Now proceed to the next slide. Now this is the aim or importance of the TCA cycle. Now the first important point is it is the stage 2 of cellular respiration. You all know. Number 2, it requires oxygen. It is essentially an oxidative pathway and oxygen is absolutely necessary for TCA cycle. Next important point about the TCA cycle, that it is the final common pathway of oxidation of fuels. All the fuel material, that is carbohydrate, protein and fat, give the acetyl-CoA, and this acetyl-CoA is oxidized in TCA cycle. So it is the final common pathway of fuel oxidation. Now number 4, it accounts for 2/3 of the energy derived from the fuels. The TCA cycle gives reducing equivalent which enters the electron transport chain and gives the ATP. Now if you calculate the whole ATP demand of our body per day, you will see that 2/3 of the whole amount of ATP that are needed for our day-to-day activity comes from the TCA cycle only. So the TCA cycle meets the 2/3 of our energy requirements. So you can see how much important it is. And the last point is it is an open and unidirectional cycle. Now this point will be elaborated in the later slide. Actually it is an important explain why type of question. I will discuss you in the later slide. Next. Now the next point is the site where this pathway is operated. The organ in every living eukaryotic cells of human body, that is every organ of the human body is capable of operating the TCA cycle. And what is the organelle? Inside the cell, TCA cycle is operated in the mitochondrial matrix. Next slide. This is the slide you can tell even in closed eye or in sleeping condition. You learn it by heart. You have read it hundreds of times. But take a quick recap about this pathway, because I will tell you some important points to remember here for the MBBS purpose. Now first of all, what happens, what is the starting material of this pathway? That is the acetyl-CoA, and the acetyl-CoA combines with the oxaloacetate to form citrate. And what is the enzyme here? It is the citrate synthase enzyme. So here the acetyl-CoA, which is 2 carbon moiety, and oxaloacetate, which is 4 carbon moiety, these two moiety condenses to form a 6 carbon molecule, that is citrate. Citrate synthase is also called the condensing enzyme, because as if it condenses these 2 molecule, acetyl-CoA and oxaloacetate. So citrate is formed. Remember, it is an irreversible step. Now next step, from the citrate, isocitrate is formed, and the enzyme is aconitase. Now remember, aconitase is a iron containing enzyme. If you are asked in the Viva question that name one iron containing enzyme, you can say that aconitase, because TCA cycle is a very much important and easy to remember metabolic pathway. And so the enzymes are also remains in your fingertips. So you can recap that, and you can say that one iron containing metalloenzyme example is aconitase. But for the MD students, you have a short note, moonlighting enzyme. Aconitis is one type of moonlighting enzyme. So prepare this as a short note for MD students, not for MBBS. Now next, the next step is from the isocitrate, which is a 6-carbon molecule, a 5-carbon molecule alpha ketoglutarate is generated, and the enzyme is isocitrate dehydrogenase. This is a very important step because here you can see that one reducing equivalent is generated, that is NADH. And another thing, isocitrate, the starting material isocitrate is a 6-carbon molecule, but the alpha ketoglutarate, the final product, is a 5-carbon molecule. So one carbon is expelled off as carbon dioxide. And remember, this step is a oxidative decarboxylation. This step is a example of oxidative decarboxylation. Now what happens then? We get alpha ketoglutarate, and the enzyme is isocitrate dehydrogenase. And there is another peculiarity about the isocitrate dehydrogenase, that it can utilize NAD plus, and the final product is NADH, and it can also utilize NADP plus, and then the final product will be the NADPH according to the type of the isoenzyme. So according to the type of the isoenzyme, it can utilize both NAD plus and NADP plus. This is a common question for MD students and an honors question for MBBS students. Now going to the next step. From alpha ketoglutarate, succinyl CoA is formed, and again another decarboxylation, that is the oxidative decarboxylation, occurs here because alpha ketoglutarate is a 5-carbon molecule and the succinyl CoA is the 4-carbon molecule. So here also one carbon dioxide is expelled off, and it is another example of oxidative decarboxylation. And here another molecules of NADH is generated, another reducing equivalent is generated. As you all know that the dehydrogenase complexes, where it is present, it produces one reducing equivalent. So the succinyl CoA is formed. Now what is the next step? Before going to the next step, I must tell you one thing, that here in the 2 stages oxidative decarboxylation occurs, and 2 carbon moiety are expelled in form of 2 carbon dioxide. Now what is the source of these 2 carbon molecules? What is the source of these 2 carbon molecules that are expelled? Now what was the starting material of this pathway? That is acetyl CoA, which has 2 carbon molecule, and oxaloacetate, which has 4 carbon molecule. And remember, these 2 carbon dioxide that is expelled in this 2 oxidative decarboxylation phase, these 2 carbon molecules comes from the acetyl CoA. The 2 carbon dioxide that are expelled in the 2 step, one in isocitrate dehydrogenase step and another is the alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase step, 2 carbon dioxide expelled out. These 2 carbon dioxide are the product of the acetyl CoA oxidation. So in the succinyl CoA, which is a 4 carbon molecule, all the 4 carbons that is present in the succinyl CoA derived from the oxaloacetate only. So by the time the cycle reaches the succinyl CoA, all acetyl CoA is burnt off. All the carbons of the acetyl CoA are burnt. So it is a very important point. I hope it is clear to you. Later this will help you to understand one explain why type of question. Now for the time being, we proceed to the next step, that is from the succinyl CoA we get the succinate. And what is the enzyme here? That is succinate thiokinase. It is a step of substrate level phosphorylation, that is ATP is synthesized directly from the substrate without participation of the electron transport chain. So it is called the substrate level phosphorylation. Here also we get 1 ATP. Now in the next step, from the succinate dehydrogenase, fumarate is formed. And what is the enzyme? That is the succinate dehydrogenase forms fumarate from succinate. Here another one reducing equivalent is generated, that is FADH2, and from the fumarate we get malate and the enzyme is fumarase, and from the malate we get again oxaloacetate. And what is the enzyme? That is malate dehydrogenase, and here also we get one reducing equivalent in the form of NADH. So this is the step where oxaloacetate is regenerated, and then another cycle will take place. So this is the steps of the TCA cycle. Clear? And remember, there are 3 irreversible steps here: 1, 3 and step number 4. That is step number 1, that is the isocitrate that is the citrate synthase step. Citrate synthase step, that is the first step where the citrate is the product, and next irreversible step is isocitrate dehydrogenase. Here alpha ketoglutarate is formed, and the next step is alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase step. Here the succinyl-CoA is formed. These 3 steps are irreversible or exorganic. Clear? Now I am going to the next slide. Now the next slide is the redox balance sheet. This is, see how much ATP is generated here. Remember, 1 molecule of glucose gives 2 molecules of pyruvate, and each 1 molecule of pyruvate gives 1 molecule of acetyl-CoA. So net 2 molecules of acetyl-CoA are generated from 1 molecule of glucose. So when each molecules of acetyl-CoA completes 1 turn of TCA cycle, the ATP or energy is generated with the help of 5 steps. First step, the isocitrate dehydrogenase. Here 1 NADH is generated, which goes to the electron transport chain to produce 2.5 ATP. Next, alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase step, which generates 1 NADH, which goes to the electron transport chain to generate 2.5 ATP. Next step is the succinate thiokinase, which is the substrate level phosphorylation. Here 1 ATP is generated. Next step of ATP generation is succinate dehydrogenase, which produces 1 FADH2, which goes to the electron transport chain to produce 1.5 ATP. And the last step, that is the malate dehydrogenase, 1 NADH is produced, which gives 2.5 ATP in the electron transport chain. So if you sum up the total number of ATPs, it will be the 10. So from 1 molecule of acetyl-CoA, there are 10 ATPs generated in the TCA cycle. We know 1 molecule of glucose gives 2 molecules of acetyl-CoA. So from 1 molecules of glucose, 2 into 10, 20 ATPs are generated. Now this is an important short note as well as MCQ. Remember it. Now next slide. Now the functions of the TCA cycle. Remember, it is similar to the aim or the importance of the TCA cycle, but has some additional points in it. Let's see those. First, it is the final common pathway of fuel metabolism. Number 2, the sources of reduced coenzymes is TCA cycle, which provides substrate for electron transport chain. Number 3, it links catabolism with anabolism. So it is an amphibolic pathway. So what is the thing here? What is amphibolic pathway? You will learn it in the later slide. Just remember, it links the catabolism with anabolism. So it is called an amphibolic pathway. Amphibolic means which links, which has catabolism, which helps in catabolism also and anabolism also. TCA cycle is such a pathway. Now next, remember the lastly, remember it provides the precursor for various synthetic pathways. The intermediates of this pathway can be used for production of the amino acid various fatty acids, steroids, nucleotides, heme, porphyrin, etc. And lastly, it has a direct or indirect trolling effect on the key enzymes of the other pathway. It means that this pathway, that is the TCA cycle, through its intermediates or the products, can influence the rate of other pathways. So these are the 5 functions of the TCA cycle you have to learn by heart, and it is an important short note. Very, very important question. Next. Now next slide. Some important points to know. Actually, these points you need to remember for explain why type of questions. That is, first explain why type of question is the Krebs cycle is amphibolic cycle. Why? That is, explain why. Now the term amphibolic means it contains both catabolic and anabolic reactions. Now why TCA cycle is catabolic? You all know that the carbohydrate, protein and fats are broken down into the acetyl CoA, and then the acetyl CoA is oxidized in the TCA cycle to produce carbon dioxide, water and energy. This is the catabolic part of the TCA cycle. Now what is the anabolic part of the TCA cycle? Now the several intermediates of this pathway are precursor of the other biosynthetic pathways. So it is the anabolic role of the TCA cycle. Now next slide. Now in this slide you can see the Krebs cycle is a source of biosynthetic precursors. Now in this slide you can see the anabolic or the synthetic roles of the TCA cycle. From the citrate, fatty acid and steroids are formed. From the alpha ketoglutarate, glutamate, other amino acid, purines are formed. From the succinyl CoA, chlorophyll, porphyrin, heme, hemoglobin are formed. From the oxaloacetate, aspartate, other amino acid, purine, pyrimidine nucleotides, these are formed. So you can see the intermediates of the TCA cycle can be used in various synthetic pathways. These are the anabolic part of the TCA cycle. So the TCA cycle is catabolic as well as anabolic. So this is the cause of the name amphibolic pathway. TCA cycle is an amphibolic pathway. Now clear? Now next cycle, in the next slide you see another explain why type of question, that is the fat is burned on the wick of the carbohydrates. Now why it is called? For complete oxidation of acetyl CoA it needs the help of the oxaloacetate, and the main source of the oxaloacetate is pyruvate, and again the pyruvate is derived from the carbohydrate. So it is called the fat is burnt on the wick of the carbohydrate. See the fats, let me explain it. See the fats or the fatty acid give rise to the acetyl CoA. This acetyl CoA is completely oxidized in TCA cycle. Now remember, in the first step of the acetyl CoA, first step of the TCA cycle, acetyl CoA condenses with the oxaloacetate to form the citrate. Now what are the sources of this oxaloacetate? The sources of the oxaloacetate is from the pyruvate. Through the pyruvate carboxylase we can get acetyl CoA. From the malate you can get acetyl CoA with the help of malate dehydrogenase enzyme action. From the aspartate, through the aspartate transaminase oxaloacetate can be formed. And lastly from the citric acid lyase enzyme will produce oxaloacetate. So these are the sources of the oxaloacetate. But remember, in the TCA cycle, the lion's share of the oxaloacetate that we use come from the pyruvate, and again the pyruvate comes from mainly glycolysis of the glucose. So the complete oxidation of the fats, carbohydrate is inevitable. For complete oxidation of fats, carbohydrate is inevitable as it is the chief source of the oxaloacetate. Clear? It is an important explain why type of question. Now next slide. Here the question is explain why no net synthesis of carbohydrate occurs from fat. Now let me explain this to you. When the fat is digested, fatty acid is produced. this fatty acid is beta oxidized to form acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA enters the TCA cycle, and this acetyl-CoA condenses with the TCA cycle to form the 6-carbon citrate. Now again you can remember that during the steps of the TCA cycle what I said, this 6-carbon citrate will produce 6-carbon isocitrate. Now from the 6-carbon moiety isocitrate, 5-carbon moiety alpha ketoglutarate is formed. Now here one carbon dioxide moiety is decarboxylated, one carbon moiety is decarboxylated as carbon dioxide. Now in the next step, from the 5-carbon alpha ketoglutarate, 4-carbon succinyl-CoA is formed. Again one carbon moiety is lost in decarboxylation. So remember, the 2 carbon moiety that are decarboxylated come from the acetyl-CoA. And what is the source of acetyl-CoA if fat is the starting material? That is the fatty acid. So what is the left 4-carbon moiety that remains in the cycle in form of succinyl-CoA? What is the source of that succinyl-CoA? Or what is the 4-carbon moiety, what is the source of the 4-carbon moiety of the succinyl-CoA? That is the oxaloacetate. So you see, the carbon skeleton of the fatty acid is totally burnt into carbon dioxide. No carbon moiety is left to form glucose. All the carbon moiety that are left in the cycle, that comes from the oxaloacetate. So there is no carbon skeleton of fatty acid is left to produce glucose. So no net synthesis of carbohydrate occurs from the fat. I think it is clear to you. Now next slide. Now in the next slide you can see that the TCA cycle is often called open cycle. Why? Because the intermediates of this pathway can enter or leave this pathway anytime. The intermediates of this pathway can enter and leave anytime. So the TCA cycle is called the open cycle. Obviously na, because the intermediates are used up in various synthetic pathway, so they can leave in any time. So this is the cause why the TCA cycle is called the open cycle. Now the next question, why this cycle is unidirectional? Explain why this cycle is unidirectional. Now remember, although there are 3 irreversible or exorganic steps in the cycle that I told before, that's the step 1, step 3 and step 4, but the most difficult hurdle is the conversion of isocitrate into alpha ketoglutarate. Why this step is irreversible? Because of its high negative delta G value. That is, this step is irreversible and it proceeds without the need of energy and even releases energy. So this step always move forward. No backward flow can occur ever in this pathway, in this step. So as this step will go forward, the whole reaction always occurs in the forward direction, and that is why the TCA cycle always goes in the forward direction. Clear? So it is an unidirectional cycle. TCA cycle is always an unidirectional cycle because of the high negative delta G value of this step, isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate. Clear? Now next slide. Now this is again a very important note, that is, this cycle, this TCA cycle has anaplerotic reactions. Explain why. Now remember, the anaplerotic word is a Greek word. It means the anabolic or the chemical reactions that form the intermediates of a metabolic pathway. Now these reactions are important part for certain pathways like TCA cycle. Why? As the TCA cycle is an amphibolic pathway, you all know that the intermediates of this pathway are used up for formation of various important molecules. But remember, if all the intermediates are used up in various other synthetic pathways, then the TCA cycle could be stopped. But for a living cell, TCA cycle should not stop. Then what you can do? Then you have to supply the intermediates of this pathway through some reactions. These are the anaplerotic reactions. These anaplerotic reactions replenishes or fill up the intermediates so that TCA cycle goes on smoothly. Now what are those replenishing or the filling up reactions? Now I have mentioned the 4 most important replenishing reactions of TCA cycle. These are the conversion of this is the regeneration of the oxaloacetate from the pyruvate, regeneration of the alpha ketoglutarate from glutamate, replenishing the malate, pyruvate is used, and to replenish oxaloacetate also aspartate is used. So these are the 4 main important replenishing or the anaplerotic reactions for the TCA cycle. Now we go into the next slide. These are a complete list of the anaplerotic reactions of the TCA cycle, and see the replenishing reactions from pyruvate, the replenishing reactions for oxaloacetate, replenishing reactions for the citrate, alpha ketoglutarate, succinyl-CoA, fumarate, etc. Now all the standard textbooks show this chart. You can go through the books. So I am going to the next slide. Now this is again a very important question, that is the regulation of this pathway. Remember, 3 irreversible steps are the sites of regulation, that is the first step, third step and fourth step. And the enzyme of this step is the first step citrate synthase, in the third step isocitrate dehydrogenase, and in the fourth step the alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. Now from the classes of the regulation of the enzyme activity, you all know that there are mainly 3 to 4 ways of controlling any enzyme catalyzed reaction, that is allosteric modification, covalent modification, or the supply of the substrates for the enzyme. Now let's see how these 3 enzymes are regulated. Now in the citrate synthase, it is allosterically inhibited by NADH, ATP, succinyl-CoA, and through feedback inhibition, citrate can inhibit the citrate synthase, and it is activated by, the citrate synthase is activated by ADP. And also metabolic state of the cell is also a regulator of the citrate synthase activity. Now the next enzyme, that is isocitrate dehydrogenase, its allosteric activator is ADP, and allosteric inhibitor are NADH and ATP. It is also activated by calcium ions. And in case of alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, it is inhibited by ATP, succinyl-CoA and NADH, and it is activated by calcium ions. So and lastly, all the regulators of the PDH complex also regulates TCA cycle. How? Because they regulates the supply of acetyl-CoA. So all the regulators of the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex can regulate the TCA cycle. Clear? So this is an extensive list of the regulators of the TCA cycle. Now I am going to the next slide. Now in the next slide, I think the previous slide is a bit cumbersome and difficult to remember. So let me simplify this regulation, and remember a general rule, that is the indicator of molecules of higher energy state like ATP, NADH, citrate, acetyl-CoA can inhibit the TCA cycle. And what does it mean? Now it means when all the energy store of the cell is full, and that is the cell has enough ATP, NADH, etc., and the cell has much more substrates and intermediates of the TCA cycle, then the cell do not need more energy. Then the TCA cycle is inhibited. Clear? And vice versa, when the cell is devoid of energy, that is the cell has more ADP instead of ATP, the cell has more ADP, AMP and NAD plus, then the cell needs energy. Then the rate of the TCA cycle will be stimulated. So the indicator molecules of the low energy state, that is ADP, AMP and NAD plus, can stimulate TCA cycle. So MBBS students, with this general rule you can simplify the regulation of the TCA cycle. But for MD students, unfortunately you need to remember all the regulators and their mode of regulation and the area of regulation, whether it is covalent modification, allosteric modification or substrate level modification with the step. And next slide. Lastly, the respiratory control of the TCA cycle. Remember, the Krebs cycle or the TCA cycle produces a lots of amount of reduced equivalent, that is NADH, FADH2, which must be oxidized in order to TCA cycle to continue. Now the oxidation of the reduced equivalent occurs in the electron transport chain of the mitochondria, and the rate of the electron transport chain is equivalent to the availability of the oxygen. If oxygen is available, then the electron transport chain rate will increase, and in case of the unavailability of the oxygen, the ETC will be slower. So oxygen can influence the rate of electron transport chain, and thereby oxygen can also indirectly control the rate of TCA cycle. So this is the respiratory control of the TCA cycle. Clear? Now going to the next slide. Now in this slide is a very important short note for MD as well as MBBS students, and also some MCQs can be asked from this slide in the MD entrance also and in the MBBS level also. So let's see, there are 4 B complex vitamins essential in the citric acid cycle. First of all, the riboflavin, and riboflavin is the material to be utilized in formation of FAD, and FAD is the cofactor for the succinate dehydrogenase, and niacin forms the NAD plus. It is useful as a cofactor in case of the alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase and malate dehydrogenase. And thirdly, the thiamine or the vitamin B1, it is coenzyme for the decarboxylation reaction in the alpha ketoglutarate reaction. And remember, it is thiamine diphosphate form that is used here. So there is a crux here, because this is the thiamine diphosphate which helps in catalyzing the alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase enzyme. Mostly our body utilizes thiamine pyrophosphate, that is TPP, in most of the reactions, but here it is the reaction which uses thiamine diphosphate. So remember it, it is an important Viva question as well as MCQ. And lastly, the pantothenic acid, it is a part of coenzyme A. So there are 4 vitamins which used in the TCA cycle: riboflavin, niacin, thiamine and pantothenic acid. Clear? I hope so. Now next, the next slide is this is again important question for MD students fortunately, and not for MBBS students. Again, it's an extensive list of the activators and inhibitors of the TCA cycle with the area where they act. Remember, the Krebs cycle activators are glutamine, glutathione, iron, NADH, carnosine, physical exercise, and the Krebs cycle inhibitors are the aconitis, zinc excess, metals like lead, cadmium, chromium, manganese, iron excess, aluminium, metformin and vitamin B12 deficiencies. So MD students, you need to remember it, and not important much for MBBS students. Now next slide. This is the actually, let me simplify the inhibitors of the TCA cycle. That is, aconitis is inhibited by fluoroacetate by non-competitive inhibition, and alpha ketoglutarate is inhibited by arsenite by non-competitive inhibition, and succinate dehydrogenase is inhibited by malonate. This is an example of competitive inhibition. Why I have mentioned these three separately? Because it is frequently asked for MBBS students, and actually when you have to write the short notes on the enzyme inhibition, you have to furnish these examples. So remember this chart very well for MBBS students. Now going to the next slide. This is the integration of metabolic pathways. Now you can see there are many pathways that are linked together with the TCA cycle, but the most important to remember the pathways that are the links of all anabolic and catabolic pathways of the TCA cycle, that is the amphibolic role of the TCA cycle. And next, the TCA cycle is linked with the transaminase and deaminase reactions. The links are oxaloacetate and aspartate interconversion and interconversion of alpha ketoglutarate into glutamate. So these are the two link site for the TCA, linking the TCA cycle with transamination deamination reactions. And lastly, the TCA cycle is linked with gluconeogenesis. The link is from oxaloacetate you can get phosphoenol pyruvate, and from phosphoenol pyruvate to the neoglucogenesis you can form glucose. Remember this four pathway, that is the anabolic pathways of TCA cycle, catabolic pathways of the TCA cycle, transamination deamination link, and gluconeogenesis. Remember all the intermediate pathways will be discussed in the separate class. After the end of the metabolism classes, please go through this slide again and you will remember it very well. Clear? Now in the next slide, it is an interesting and important clinical note, and I think it is the most interesting slide of this class, that is the disorders of the TCA cycle. Now starting from the school days, you have read about the thiamine deficiency, beriberi, Wernicke's encephalopathy, Korsakoff psychosis. Now what are the symptoms of this thiamine deficiency? These are confabulation. It means the patient creates false or erroneous memories without intention. Somehow honest lying. The patient don't know that he or she is lying. So this is a confabulation. This will be clearly taught to you in the final year psychiatry classes. Now next symptom, very important, is the nystagmus, which is the involuntary eye movement with slightly blurred vision. And next, that is ataxia, which is the loss of the control of body movement. Patient feels difficulty in standing or walking. So these are the cardinal symptoms of the thiamine deficiency. You all know this, but do you know why these symptoms are produced in the thiamine deficiency? This is due to the failure of the TCA cycle. As thiamine is deficient, so which step is defective? Which step? That is the decarboxylation step by alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. This step will be defective. For this reason, this is the cause of the symptoms in the thiamine deficiency. So first very important disorders related to TCA cycle is in the thiamine deficiency. Now secondly, although it's a rare condition, second condition is the PDH complex deficiency. It is manifested as the lactic acidosis and neurodeficit. Here the pyruvate dehydrogenase is defective, so acetyl CoA production is defective. Now thirdly, the very rare condition, that is the pyruvate carboxylase deficiency leading to the oxaloacetate deficiency. So ultimately TCA cycle will be hampered. Now you all know that the oxaloacetate can be replenished by the anaplerotic reactions. So as the pyruvate carboxylase is deficient, so the replenishment of the oxaloacetate will be hampered. For this reason the TCA cycle will be hampered, and the clinical features are failure of the TCA cycle leads to mental retardation, lactic acidosis and hypoglycemia. And lastly, remember TCA cycle enzyme deficiency is very rare, but thiamine deficiency is seen in the clinical practice. Okay, now going to the next slide. And before we end, did you know the carbon dioxide molecules that produced in the stage 3 and step 4 of the TCA cycle are the CO2 molecules that we exhale? Do you know this? Now with this small riddle I end today's class. Thank you for your kind attention.